Ladies and gentlemen, please, wonderful session here. Amazing, amazing speakers with us. Round of applause for them, please. If you want to talk to them, they're here. Enjoy. Okay, so we're going to move on to our last session of the day. And this is session number 5 on finance and e-commerce. This session dives into the fast-moving world of finance and e-commerce, from AI-driven disruption and digital innovation to the challenge of building trust and boosting financial literacy. This conversation is made possible with the valued support of Markaz, whose commitment to regional financial development helps shape dialogues like this one. I'm going to welcome the chair of that session while our speakers are getting mic'd up over there. So we're taking a bit of our time here, and then you will be enjoying the networking drinks. So please stay with us for the last session. Yes, Rita? The draw. There is a prize draw. Yes, and people are coming around, there's staff coming around with a bowl. You can drop your business card in there or drop it at the ABCC booth on the first floor. You can win a flight to Abu Dhabi and a stay in a hotel, I think, with Etihad. So please drop your business card over there. Please welcome your chair, TRACY VEGRO, CEO of the Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. Now, I'm supremely conscious that I'm keeping you from the reception, but the session that we're about to go into, I think I definitely will be surprised if you aren't taken aback by some of the major progress that we've been making in the field of e-commerce and financial services. Hardly a day goes by where the words fintech, regtech, edtech, medtech aren't used, but there's an awful lot behind the scenes about what's going to happen next, whether there'll be more or less regulation, whether that regulation will be international or country-based, and so on. So we've got an amazing panel that I'll introduce one by one once they're ready to join me on the stage. And we definitely will have time for some questions. But to begin with, I wanted to give a little bit of an oversight of what we at CSI have been doing. I'm sure one of the reasons I was asked to join today was because of the work that we've been doing around ethical AI. Some of the training that we've been offering, the learning and development, not just to our members, but to other organisations, the Law Society here in England, some of the other accountancy bodies. So for me, it's not just financial services, it's much more about breadth across all of professional services. And I think that's something we might get into in discussion. The other thing I wanted to just say was the ethical AI certificate, as I say, you can scan it here and get it downloaded for work at your thing. But first and foremost, let me welcome other members of the panel. I was absolutely delighted that we had a representative BNY in the shape of BANA, AKKAD, AZHARI, and I'd love her to come up and join us. Thank you. And then I'll ask you back up. The second panelist, who I think is ready, I've only met on screen, so it's an absolute pleasure to have him join us. So it's GABRIELE SCHIAVONE from SGS and Partners. Thank you. Lovely to meet you properly. And finally, I think I can see that Joseph's ready. We have a representative of a very important body in UK export finance, Joseph CHAKRA. Thank you. Brilliant. Really, pleasure. Yes. Now, as I say, we've been a very good panel in that we've only met virtually, living up to our e-commerce remit, and it's going to be fascinating. I'm going to ask BANA to speak first, then GABRIELE, and then Joseph. As I say, there's going to be time for questions, and if anybody in the audience has got a pressing question, you can try and put your hand up at any time, but we've also had some pre-submitted ones that I'm keen to get through. So without further ado, BANA, I'm going to ask you to take up. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tracy. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is BANA AKKAD, and I lead the Treasury Services business for Europe, Middle East, and Africa for BNY. I'm delighted to be here today, joining you this afternoon to introduce BNY, a premier global financial services company with a rich history spanning over 240 years. We oversee more than $53 trillion in assets for our clients worldwide, managing it, moving it, and keeping it safe throughout the investment and financial life cycle. Our mission, is simply put, is to make money work for the world. We serve a diverse client base that includes governments, unions, and financial institutions across multiple regions and industry segments. Our clients trust us to deliver innovative solutions tailored to their unique challenges, helping them achieve their financial objectives. We do that by offering a comprehensive and integrated platform that supports clients throughout the entire financial life cycle, from creating and administrating assets to managing, transacting, distributing, and optimizing investments. Our technology services and expertise are designed to be modular and customizable, enabling us to meet the evolving needs of our client base globally. Based on today's topic of discussion on the world of trade and commerce, just to give a brief synopsis, so BNY's Treasury Services include several key offerings that support the proliferation of trade and commerce globally. Specifically speaking, we focus on global payments, facilitating international payment processing to support the movement of funds across borders, which is essential for global trade. Second, around providing solutions to optimize the liquidity and cash flow management for businesses engaging in trade and commerce. And trade finance, of course, offering financial solutions that help clients manage the risks and capital requirements associated with importing and exporting of goods and services. This includes supporting the funding and settlement of trade transactions. And last but not least, applied innovation by leveraging innovative technologies to enhance treasury operations, improve efficiency, and support evolving client needs in trade and commerce worldwide. These specific treasury services solutions collectively help clients in managing the financial aspects of their trade activities, ensuring smooth transaction flows, optimized liquidity, and access to financing solutions that is necessary for global commerce. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know how you managed to do justice to quite so much so shortly. Thank you very much. Next up, Gabriele, you've got a presentation, I think. So, there you are.
Okay, thank you so much. I would like to thank the Arab British Chamber of Commerce for inviting me to this high-level event. Honored to be here between among some distinguished speaker, guest participant. I will be sharing key highlights from my extensive presentation. The topic, as you see, is not only particularly fascinating, but also complex, potentially very broad. So my analysis will focus on very specific key area. My analysis is based not only on publicly available documentation, but also on a first-hand experience, as I've been working as a consultant in joint venture between a leading international provider of IT, fintech services, and a prominent local authority in the Middle East. So my presentation will focus basically on strategic overview of the landscape, the convergence of legal framework implication, tax implication, technology innovation, and sharing at the end a personal perspective of specific topic. The core of my presentation, if I consider, is the core of my presentation centered on the dynamic interaction among AI, e-commerce, and fintech. These forces are giving rise to what we call now as an embedded finance ecosystem. That is a key word. The two main pillars, two pillars outcome of the embedded finance ecosystem are financial inclusion and business opportunities. The embedded financial ecosystem can create opportunities to promote financial education and provide access to digital platform for rural community, a lower income segment of the population. Just an example, very quick, for example, the Egyptian digital platform get already 50 million of customers. That is incredible. Remarkable progress, thanks to that the banking individuals in Egypt rising from 30% in 2020 to more than 50% in 25. And second, business opportunities, because embedded finance unlocks revenue stream and customer engagement models, creating more convenient customer experience, allow business to monetize touch points that were previously outside the scope of financial services. Just get in mind that in 2021, the total payments have been 2.5 trillion. In 2025, we expect 6.5 trillion US dollars. Multiple stakeholders. This is a very important point because the embedded finance ecosystem can be seen from perspective of different players and different stakeholders. Not only bank and fintech companies, but e-commerce platform and, in my opinion, public sector, government, businesses, utility companies. That I think can be the future. The future because this last entity, they have access to a huge number of data, and they have capabilities in terms of regularity and financial terms. For market opportunities lie in cost reduction, personalization, and scalability. And at the end, again, here I highlight AI for urban management. That's probably would be the future of the embedded finance, meaning managing parking, health, transportation, linked together with the fintech platform. If you follow the presentation, of course, very important for the main area are also geopolitical consideration, because they need to get some form of independence. At the end, which is very important again, are the what we can see are the challenging, because there are big challenging. The challenging are technological, legal, fiscal. Of course, here it's difficult to speak about a very huge, large topics, but just to keep the attention on basic points. Digital services present today some challenging, typical the absence of physical establishment, a fragmented retail customer base, the difficulty in determining the place of consumption, especially for VAT. Why usually we can say that GCC VAT system has already been introduced some kind of harmonization? For direct taxation is still in a very early stage. We need also to keep in mind the OECD has already set a global minimum tax and 50%. So we can expect that in the next future will be a kind of convergence toward this rate of taxation. Keeping digital business model in line with new tax rules and also legal constraints is just not about staying compliant. It's also is a smart move for long-term growth. For legal, there are always a balance to strike between consumer protection from one hand and from the other perspective, license regime and business opportunity. We know that there is a lack of regulation on that, but we believe that a practical step forward will be to have some kind of multi-country passport sooner or later. Last point in challenging is bureaucracy. We need always to keep in mind that bureaucracy is important but cannot represent a limit and produce inefficiencies because inefficiency produce high cost produce disaffection from customer and this is not good for the trust in the financial system. I say that MENA is a good position to lead the next wave of global fintech. And again, I believe I would like to share with you a more personal perspective that's coming from my experience. MENA countries, generally speaking, due to a certain degree of cultural and social cohesion, have a unique opportunity to leverage the embedded finance ecosystem by linking it to the development of community-based services. Again, maybe the future will be by public sector, government, businesses to embrace fintech platform. So probably we will be seeing in the future that will be the public sector own their own fintech platform due to the fact that they have access to lots of information, lots of data, and they have a strong capability in terms of financial and regulatory. I think I cover. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And finally, just before we get into questions, I'm going to ask Joseph to join us because it really is going to be a great opportunity to discuss quite a lot of that. Already, we've got all sorts of possibilities, data, regulation, consumer trust. So prepare your questions. But Joseph, do you want to?
Thank you. Good afternoon. UK Export Finance is a department of the UK government, and our role is to support exports from the UK and investments into the UK when there is an export angle. As highlighted by our CEO, Tim Reid, this morning, our goal is to increase trades. Dr. Hanafi mentioned this morning that the trade between the UK and the Arab world stood at £70 billion. The way we work, as you may know, is that when a bank provides a loan to an exporter in the UK or to a buyer of UK products and services overseas, then based on the UK content, we guarantee that loan. So immediately, the risk for the lending bank is no longer the counterparty, if you will, but it is the UK government, which is AA rated. And since we are a department of the UK government, our guarantee carries the full faith and credit of the UK government. Our aim for the MENA region, for the Arab world, the way we work is that for each country, we have a market risk appetite. Because the way we work is that Treasury gives us an envelope in terms of how much trade we can support. For just the Arab world, the overall capacity that we have is to support £50 billion of trades, of exports from the UK. That's quite a substantial number. And we aim to reach that number as much as possible. The way we work is that I am based in London, but we have teams on the ground based at British embassies. So we encourage you either as exporters from the UK or as importers of UK products and services to reach out to us either in London or at our embassies throughout the world. How do we use technology to support our mission? Technology for us is a key delivery matrix for our mission. We have three areas that you focus on in digital delivery. The first one is aligning the digital platform with our wider goals. So for example, we have to be faster in delivering our response to customers. Number two is data transformation. We have actually created interactive Power Business Intelligence dashboard. So instead of a decision going back to the paper trail, if you will, the decision can be done quickly. To give you an example, we provide, in addition to guaranteeing loans, we provide insurance. So for example, a company wants to export, but they're worried about getting repaid, we provide that insurance cover. So what does that mean? A few years ago, if you wanted to apply for that insurance, it would take you probably a few weeks. It could sometimes take you a month or two just to get a quote. Right now, you get into our system and you get your quote within 2 minutes. So that's quite a transformation. And we aim to have a real-world impact. So all these changes that we have incorporated are already part of what we're doing. Another example of how we are operating now is that we have incorporated Microsoft into our decision-making process. We're looking at various ways how we can support exporters, be it in terms of compliance, fraud detection. And to give an example for the fraud detection, there are apparently, from my colleagues in technology are telling me, there are trends in terms of frauds. You can actually try to, using artificial intelligence, to try to uncover fraud in terms of exports, because many exporters try to export without meeting the minimum UK content. So we want to make sure that if there is an export we support, that export actually helps British jobs and British businesses. And we'll take questions later.
Yes. Please come and rejoin us. Thank you. Well, I'm not sure we're going to do justice to all the different topics that got raised there, but the one that everybody talked to me about when they saw the program was, are we all really ready in financial services to exploit the kind of opportunities that AI is going to bring? And I thought that'd be a good opening question for everybody. So, can we do it? Are we ready? What's your experience from banking transformation, BANA?
Well, sure, thank you for that. So first of all, I think that in terms of financial services readiness, it's absolutely there, yeah. Right? And work around exploring AI and the uses of AI into financial services and the whole operation of it is certainly underway, different stages depending on the breadth and complexity of the financial institutions. However, it is very important that as this work is being done, that more should be done to build trust, right? And it is really around ensuring that banks build inclusive and transparent AI-driven products and services. And that can be done through different ways, right? Whether it's about using diverse data sets and teams so that the data can be representative and include multidisciplinary teams in order to minimize bias and ensure inclusivity, right? Particularly if you want to make sure that you cater to a broad client base. Explainability is important, and that is really around developing AI models that provide clear and understandable explanations for decisions and how they're made in order to foster transparency and trust. Having ethical frameworks is key as well, and that is through implementing ethical guidelines and governance to oversee AI development and deployment, ensuring fairness and accountability, which is critical. And also continuous monitoring of the process as it goes further is also very important, whether through regulatory audit of AI systems to ensure accuracy as well as compliance, and as much as needed to maintain integrity of the whole process. But also, let's not forget about the client and the end client. This should be the focal point of anything that gets developed by financial services providers and banks, and involving close clients in the feedback loop to make sure that their needs and expectations and requirements are well understood and embedded in the system. And last but certainly not least is regulatory alignment, and make sure that you stay abreast and aligned with the evolving regulations around AI, and that is being adopted by different jurisdictions.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a really important point, that this is evolving all the time. You're never going to be able to say for decades that it's sort of done. I was interested in what you said about the ethics, because at the CISI we were probably a bit surprised by how this certificate in ethical AI advanced so quickly. We thought there was an appetite, but we were quite shocked by just how big an appetite that was and how it worked across all professional sectors. So I was interested in your answer to this, Gabriele, given you had so much data and you see that the legal implications and the tax and the regulatory stuff. Do you think you can do it as one whole piece, or do you think it's different strands that come together?
They come together. Financial sector has already embraced AI. We know, just an example, customer care is one example. But probably if we combining the e-commerce and fintech together, probably financial sector hasn't fully realized the potential of embedded finance. And I believe, as I said before, that the real opportunity lies outside traditional banking. I see more potential in big e-commerce players and the public utilities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you mentioned financial inclusion, I thought that was really important, because in the UK especially, the government is trying very, very hard. And I thought that the allusions to the public sector, because of the data it holds, could actually unlock the pace of change perhaps more quickly. The concept of people not being able to get into digital banking or something, they're excluded from that. There's a potentially very large business opportunity as well as the benefit to the individual.
Yes. Financial inclusion, I've said before, is one of the pillars of the embedded finance model. And the examples are evident. If you see some countries, as Egypt, is incredible the results they can get by implementing digital platform. And we believe that digital platform connected with this ecosystem that I call it embedded finance can create business opportunities and more revenues for everybody.
Yeah. Let's hope that's a good goal for all of us. I wanted your answer to it too, Joseph, because what you just said about the time down to 2 minutes to get
it's absolutely, I mean, and it all goes down to basically two important parts, I guess, of the equation. AI is very important, but human capital is as important.
Yeah.
And we focus a lot on training. You know, if somebody cannot use prompt engineering, to find out to question AI, then you're not really using them that much. So what we're doing on our side is that we're focusing a lot on development and on training. And we have, for example, just to mention again, Microsoft Copilot. We are also using Copilot Studio, which basically allows us early in the process, but it's also basically, it's an HR assistant, compliance checks, climate risk assessment, country risk, and we're looking at also trying to use AI in different languages, because sometimes we have an export to a country where not everything is in English. Mm-hmm. So we try so definitely you need to have the AI and the human capital to be able to use it.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that many times in many different sectors. I used to be the legal regulator here in the UK, and law tech, the number one thing people said, you absolutely have to understand what the biases are, because you've got to make it transparent from the start. And if you don't, you lose a lot of support.
Absolutely.
And the human capital is crucial to that. I want to check whether there are any questions from the audience, because if anyone wants to put their hand up at any time, do feel free. I'll keep scanning. But I've got a really important question for you, BANA, which is about the massive IT transformation that's happened in banking. Any perspectives about the kind of benefits versus the challenges, or how do you approach it?
Well, sure. It's really about traditional banks redefining their value proposition in order to address the evolving landscape and the evolving market dynamic, which emphasizes speed, personalization, and enhanced user experience, whether we're talking the user being the client or even internally. And that is currently being done through several key approaches. First and foremost, embracing technology, of course, as we've all been talking about, with banks adopting more and more advanced technologies such as AI, machine learning, as well as automation in order to accelerate processes, reduce friction, but also deliver faster services to clients. Second, personalization, and that is through leveraging data analytics and client insights so that banks can tailor products and services to individual client needs, anticipating their requirements and proactively offering relevant solutions that really serve the clients better. Developing seamless and intuitive digital platforms is also essential, including mobile apps that provide clients with convenient 24/7 access to banking services and improving the overall client and user experience. Connecting and integrating various adjacent products so that banks can really offer to their client base more holistic solutions around their needs rather than completely disintegrated products. And this would help address their broader needs as well as their evolving needs. And it enhances the service that they're getting from the traditional banks. Internally, it's all about simplification, streamlining processes, embracing platforms to reduce complexity and making interactions easier, but also more efficient for clients and better use internally even for the banks themselves. And at the end of the day, I always go back to the client and making sure that any developments that banks do, whether innovation, change management, transformation, has to be client-centric and has to have the client at the center of it. So embedding client needs and client obsession, as we call it, into the heart of any transformation is also very important for banks as they redefine their value proposition in an evolving landscape.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, that you get the operational benefits, the customer changes, and that opportunity to expand the offer to wider groups. It's quite an exciting prospect for us all. I was struck again, I'm going to turn to you now, Gabriele, because you were talking about blockers, and I think you said bureaucracy can't be too much, but it's got to be appropriate oversight. How do you think the sort of pace of innovation and the pace of regulation are working together? Are they out of step, or are kind of looking good at the moment?
Yes, it's always a difficult balance. Regulation is of paramount importance because it establishes rules, function, responsibility, but regulation should be also establish clean, clear, and easy rules in order that everybody can understand. As said by Dana also before, accountability is very important in AI, so the decision should be always checked and have a proof that something has been done in a proper way to avoid discrimination, to avoid arbitration, to avoid unfair treatment. So the balance is very important. We need always to keep in mind that the excess of bureaucracy, again, create costs. Costs at the end are paid by the end consumers. And when the end consumer is not happy, the trust in the financial system, generally speaking, and the embedded finance model is false. That is not positive.
Certainly, day by day, you hear of more scams, they're more sophisticated. So even if the oversight and the regulation is good, you can still have problems. I wondered what you thought about the sort of behavioral changes and what we should be saying to the public about what, you don't want to frighten people and put them off using the technology, because the benefits are there for all to see, but it's quite a difficult balancing act. Deep fakes and all the rest of it. People tell me just how authentic it can be that if you give us this code, you can, and you must see this at export finance, you've got to do legitimacy checks.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It goes back to the fraud detection.
Yeah.
As we try to advance the the bad actors, if you will, are not sitting on, on their hands.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I just think it's one of those things that, again, it's like the balance with regulation, there's the balance with trust. You want people to be wary, but you don't want to frighten them into doing nothing, because change then passes them by. I had another, I'm just checking there are no questions, I can't see no hand going up, but for me, there was a behavioral insight change as well. And do you kind of reward clients that use the new technology? You know, are the discounted benefits there, or is that not a good way of selling it? That sort of cheapens the progress.
I can give you an example.
Yeah.
So
Please
basically,
do.
the way we look at it is it's a three-legged pillar, right? You have to leverage technology, you have to train the human capital, but what we also have is at UKEF is we have information systems dashboards, which is basically data loop feedback. So it allows us to come back to clients with faster answers and more accurate answers. So that by itself perhaps is a benefit to the client as well as to the bank.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I can see that. Is there a question? No? I'm going to ask one that one of my children put to me. So my children are very innovative and will not go now into a branch or anything. They want everything digital. And they were saying, why is it that it's harder to verify yourself now? And is it true that, you know, once you're on one platform, it's then easier to be on another, or does it become harder because they think you're on lots of different platforms? And I just wondered, is there something about the pace of change for a particular demographic that's younger or older, or what are we learning about what clients want? What have you learned, Gabriele? Because you've obviously got a lot of data.
But basically, the finance, embedded finance model, in fact, they have already system for protecting children, and maybe the fintech platform and the embedded finance model have already improved a system for achieving what we are saying. So, and in the future, I also believe that's a very interesting case that we are working on, is the fintech that provide, for example, in e-commerce platform, the fintech can give the chance to the e-commerce to check the identity, of the end consumer.
It's interesting. I think in the UK now, the digital platform that goes when a new passport's renewed, I can't remember if it's based on your eye, is extraordinary and has really absolutely, the whole process is much cheaper for the taxpayer and much quicker for the customer. And you wonder, don't you, in hospital admissions and things like that, if it won't get to be, your data can be used in different ways, but through one channel. Potentially, that's also very important. If I may, Joseph, can I come back on to export finance? Because I really was intrigued by how much the process is absolutely customer-centric now. How much do the people that take export finance appreciate the innovation that's been done? Do you get feedback? I mean, is it seen as a...
I mean, first thing I want to say, I think your children's question is fantastic. They should become exporters.
I shall encourage them.
and use our platform. But in terms of client feedback has been tremendous, both from the banks as well as from the exporters. Now, having said that, we still have a lot of work to do. Many people actually don't know what we do. I mean, when I first interviewed, frankly, for UK Export Finance, you know, I didn't really understand what it was, you know, before I was told about the position. So I think we need to do lots of work. And panels like this are a fantastic way for us to communicate the message. And if you have, you know, anybody has any questions, please, you know, either contact us through the chamber or on our websites. We'd be delighted to see how we can help.
I'll declare an interest because obviously I was a former Department of Business and Trade official. That's where I started my working career in government. And genuinely, some of the changes have just been extraordinary, the pace of change. I saw a hand. Excellent. Introduce yourself and please ask your question.
Hi, first of all, thank you guys for your insights on the panel. My name is Mandir Dabbas. I'm currently a student at King's College London. I study finance. And I had a question specifically for BANA about legacy systems in banking. I wanted to ask why is it that many of the banks, especially the investment banks and the big institutions, continue to use legacy systems in banking? And what have been the challenges for them, whether regulatory or technological, culture, otherwise? What have been the challenges for them to upgrade to more modern kinds of systems? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mundir, for your question. Banks largely still use some legacy systems, but those legacy systems have also, there's a lot of maintenance and upgrade that's been done on them throughout the process. But banks are increasingly adopting newer technologies and they're embedding them in their transformation across the systems and everything that they do as well. That takes time, particularly as using and deploying new technologies also requires, as we talked about earlier, governance frameworks, compliance frameworks, and there are lots of regulatory requirements, not just in the UK, but even more so I mean, that is the case globally, which they also have to abide by, and that is ensured to make sure that they retain the stability of the financial sector and financial services, particularly when it comes to infrastructure providers, etc. So there is actually a serious work being done to evolve and improve and enhance the legacy systems, adopting some of the new technologies, but also making sure that the new technologies that are currently being used, that they are also interoperable and they provide the interoperability and the scale that is needed for the financial sector across the world to remain connected.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It's a really good question. I was just going to add as well, and it's not just banks, is it? It's any commercial organisation. The same is true of retail. Look how many people now don't go into shops on a high street. They're buying online. You've got all sorts of issues, haven't you, about what country of origin is and tax and so on. So none of these things are a sort of just one sector anymore either. It's a kind of e-commerce across the whole of the trading system. Makes it a bigger challenge for all of us. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I dial in from home,
yeah.
And every single time I dial in, it has to be checked and triple checked.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I'm often amazed how people don't understand that with any change in commerce, like e-commerce, governance has to go hand in hand. I mean, imagine the compliance risks of doing something that wasn't properly governed when everybody's got regulators like the Financial Conduct Authority and so on, and the legal regulators. Can I see another hand for a question? Because otherwise I've got a couple. We've got around 5 minutes or so left. And as I say, one of the things I was interested in hearing is the couple of things from each of us that we might change if we had the sort of magic wand. You know, would it be a regulatory change? Would it be people's attitudes? What would you do, Gabriele?
But,
if we could do 5 years development in 2 months.
Of course, I would... let me say, I make you a question. For example, anybody of us, in some occasion has been, you have applied for a credit card, you apply for a bank accounting opening, and you have been refused. And many times I feel that's very uncomfortable not to know the reasons. So that's why, again, I call them accountability. AI can, of course, improve the process to sharing with you why you have been refused, because being refused, it happens to everybody, sometimes in the life, to refuse any kind of application, a credit card, a bank account, and it's becoming frustrating when you don't have a reply. We hope that the AI can improve the process of information, and because this increase the trust in the financial system at the end. Because when you are not in a position to know why, you're becoming frustrating, you are not happy, and the next time you say, I won't open a bank account in digital platform, I won't buy on e-commerce because I don't have had any reply for that. So accountability can be something to look at.
I think it links to a point you made earlier on transparency, isn't it? So actually, some of this new technology will actually give people slightly more ability to understand what the key criteria might be, whereas at the moment it could be seen as quite opaque. And as you say, as long as there is no kind of compromising of data or any inherent bias, then it should be a better process. It should be quicker, but also more transparent and more open.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to answer your question, one thing that if I had that magic wand would be to ask for continued and enhanced partnership and collaboration across all the different players in the ecosystem, whether it is banks and financial institutions, fintechs, regulators, industry bodies, etc., so that we are all working together to improve and enhance so that we can collectively help foster growth, ensure interoperability while maintaining the security and the stability of the financial sector that we serve. At the end of the day, it is not about, just regulation or just banks' investments and transformation or fintechs and so on. It's about the whole ecosystem banding together to bring together a more stable but growth-oriented environment.
Yeah, I completely agree that collaboration is a real key factor, isn't it? Joseph?
I mean, for me, I think the most important thing is human capital. So I think AI should be more accessible, more visible. 2 months ago, I was asking my daughter, she's studying biology. I was being the annoying dad. Have you studied any AI? She goes, yeah, Dad, they gave us AI. So, but this is the type of stuff, I think it's very important that the human capital is not lost in the equation.
I've got literally a few minutes to attempt to sum up. First and foremost, what I really want to say is thank you to a fantastic panel. I think when you put these panels together, and we've all met very fleetingly, it's really nice when it comes together and the conversation was such a productive one, so it's a huge thank you. I take away a few statements. For me, it is all about creativity and collaboration. Change is a given. Managing change really well is not a given. And I think that's something that so far this sector has done really well, because it has led to opportunities, financial inclusion. There were problems that we were not solving that actually it looks like technology could be part of the solution, and you don't always get to say that. So it's been a real privilege. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed the whole of the conference today. As I say, great thanks to everybody who's participated. Everyone gave their time so readily and for such an important topic. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us. Thank you.